Okay, live at 5 or well 6:30 or something. No, 15. Okay. So this is like a 3-in-1 video, I guess. I debated if I should wear the darker hat with the slightly different shape or the other one, but the main change went from last month to this month. The months being not August, July, but the lunar calendar or the equinox or whatever. So yeah, because September people consider as autumn, but autumn doesn't actually start till toward the end of September, and in California, maybe not even then. Maybe October, maybe November. Yeah, last year we got like a week and a half in right after Thanksgiving. It was kind of autumn, and then it was officially winter. So instead of a safari theme, I've switched to more of a pilot theme, but they're kind of the same thing, except it's been a little too warm to wear leather jackets much. I did wear the one a little bit when it was windy, which was a really sweaty experience, but it was one of the non-quilted insulated ones. I do have, of course, this one that I haven't used yet. That's technically not a flight jacket. The Harrington jacket. It's sort of a modern car coat instead of the old wool car coats, I guess. But you know, kind of yuppie-ish, kind of pilot-esque, kind of throwback James Dean retro, kind of a little bit of everything. And of course, I did get this canvas bomber one that I reviewed in Kakadu, and I was disappointed when the buttonhole ripped a bit, which was partly an accident, but I thought this canvas would be more durable than that. But apart from that, it's new and hasn't really been used, and so kind of fine for this season. And I got this in a large instead of an extra large, and the sizing seems basically fine if I don't try to wear too bulky of a sweater underneath. And it has the leather collar and the zipper under the placket deal. So a decent option. And of course, I didn't wear the, super flyboy kind of wardrobe for the video. A little more of a downbeat thing. As far as the declutter goes, I did finally shred the darker blue version of this that I had that had gone through 2 owners already and served its time in real work situations and such. But this one survives, and I have a teal one that's barely been worn, and a tan one that's in pretty stained but not falling apart condition, same as the other one. Oh, I forgot to do the honorary, mostly unnecessary thing that throws the background into out of focus land. Let's see it. Well, hopefully it snaps back into focus, but I'm going to be moving around, so there it goes. These shirts, therefore, that got left back there all summer because I kept meaning to do a safari follow-up video that never ever came. So I can finally take these off of the amplifier and put them in rotation. So part 2, for you boot enthusiasts, I'll do the boot rotation second, I guess. So yeah, I had shown in safari video and pilot video some of the same stuff, like basically the same shirt as this, except some have epaulettes. This one being a linen instead of a cotton. This one being a kind of a slub cotton or whatever, but not quite a seersucker. So, a little bit of airflow, but still a warmer shirt than this is just the exact same thing from Orvis in a different color. And not all my stuff comes from Orvis, but pretty much the better ones. This one has the short sleeves with the kind of detail in the little unnecessary tab, little details like that that you pay extra for that don't really do anything functional, but you know, look good. Whereas I have these ones from, I don't know, Ross or Burlington or someplace. Where did these come from? I don't know. Our low price, $16.99, and extra large. And this is a linen cotton blend. It's not a full linen shirt, but a similar color. It does have epaulettes on the shoulders, short sleeves with a similar kind of vibe, but with another weird tab hanging off at an odd angle. So definitely a good late summer into early autumn shirt. And, you know, typical button placket. Only one pocket and with no flap, but it does have a button and kind of a rough, itchy texture compared to the Orvis being a bit softer. And I have another Orvis one, also in a medium that might still fit in the same, almost the same color. In this light, they look exactly the same, but in person, this one's a little more yellowish and this one's a little more brown. A little less character to it because, again, it's a cotton blend, so it doesn't have all that linen-y texture. And this one, of course, being the exact same shirt and the exact same size, but a little bit lighter, a little bit more washed out. Really hard to tell in this light. It's the overhead lights that make everything look yellow. The new, what do you call them, bulbs. They don't quite register everything as quite exact. This pair of shorts matches perfectly some of those shirts ish that's still in the bag. I have a similar one in a blue that I wear once in a while. But this one's a nylon with a drawstring kind of belt thing going on. So good for humid weather, if it might rain or whatever, maybe, or hiking. But I have other ones that are similar that I wear more because they're, I don't remember, they're all around the same price, but I don't know, for some reason they're a little easier to wear without the belt and all that, I guess. And the same exact thing in an Orvis, but in a long sleeve, which I've been wearing long sleeve a little bit in the evening lately. And the other video I made on Friday that nobody will ever probably watch, I was already sweating to death just in here wearing that shirt. Literally had to go take my shower right after. But for the sake of the video, I did wear that one. And so if you're like me, you're looking forward to autumn and wearing khaki pants and a little bit heavier weight shirts. This one by JCPenney, probably Arrow. This one that can go with a green pant or a brown or a tan pant or a British tan pant or even a stone pant if I wanted. And now I made it all blurry again. Come back, come back. Stop being blurry. There we go. But this is just a short sleeve camp shirt. So again, not doing necessarily the mountain man thing, but still doing kind of the preppy thing or the pilot thing or a jazz motif, a 60s jazz acceptable shirt instead of the Hawaiian print Magnum PI stuff that, you know, pretty much packed away most of that already without wearing half of it or most of it. But nobody hardly watched those videos either, so it didn't really matter. And this pilot-y themed book, even though I finished reading it before the pilot-y theme month, I wasn't going to do a deep dive on a book review in the middle of this, but I don't always try to keep my reading to coincide with my wardrobe, but sometimes it helps thematically or whatever. I have a couple more by him that I want to check out. I enjoyed this one. Page Turner, for sure. So that's not really part 3. I suppose it could have been. So yeah, so like I said, not exactly safari, but still some safari elements. Not exactly indie, because no leather jackets and less fedoras and more, you know, other casual hats that I can sweat in without feeling like I ruined you know, $70 hat or something. Yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, you know, like I said, we're in a holding pattern. I might, I guess, well, it wouldn't technically be part 2. It'd be part B of part 1. We're still in part 1, but part B. Bringing back the Western wear. I just did some photos the other day. I got those Ariat boots that I want to try and wear a little bit. Again, I'll talk about footwear in part 2. I might be going to Dallas sometime next month, or a little sooner or a little later. Well, there's no sooner. Next month starts tomorrow, but I'm not going tomorrow. For, I don't know, a couple days or a week or whatever. And the last time I went there around this time of the year, there was crazy rain. So I don't know what to expect. It was lightning storms, like all the way to Oklahoma kind of thing. And I'm not used to that. We're, you know, in California, the lightning is up in the mountains and you watch it and you go, oh, you know, pretty. Hope it doesn't, you know, give us a blackout. Knock wood, right? Yeah, it's not like 10 feet from your car right there by the side of the road, bumper to bumper the whole way with only one lane and all that. So I don't know what to expect weather-wise, so I don't know if I'll be able to integrate as much cowboy stuff into my regimen or not for that. And I don't necessarily see a lot of people who enjoy driving in Western riding boots for 26 hours or whatever either. However that works out. Don't know which route we're going to take. Don't know what weather we're going to get. Blah, 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 blah. Don't know if I'm even going. Blah, 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 blah. No solid plans. But in the meantime, again, if the weather chills out a little bit, even here, then, you know, we'll try to wear some of that stuff, because I don't just like collecting stuff just for the sake of collecting it. But the seasons here have been, again, temperamental and not conducive to a lot of my autumny kind of wardrobe and stuff. So without flapping my gums too much about that, since, like I said, I decluttered, I did throw away or decommission. I still used some of the fabric as painting rags or whatever. So the blue Yosemite shirt finally got gone because it was itchy and not pleasant to wear, but I did wear it on a road trip and some other stuff, and was like, okay, you're done. And that, again, this shirt in blue also gone, and a yellow Henley that was an old LL Bean one that had gotten pretty threadbare, but was still comfortable. But I had to remove the sleeves a long time ago because the elbows had already blown out a couple of years ago already. But I was still wearing it just as is until I finally got sick of it and cut them off, and then wore that again for a while until the holes started becoming like it would tear as you put it on kind of holes. But mostly a night shirt, not a wearing out and about shirt kind of thing. A nice shirt for lightweight, cool, breathable for nighttime. But then you wake up all sweaty and you can only wash it so many more times before it disintegrates completely. Stuff like that. So yeah, I got 3 or 4 less shirts now so far, and more to go maybe. So without much more ado, wackadoo, we'll go ahead and switch to the boot list. Now, I was watching, as many of you, this is the hat list. This is not the boot list. This is the boot list. Okay, I'll do the boot list, then I'll do the hat list. As many of you were probably watching the Bootlosophy 12 boots in 12 weeks kind of thing. I think that's a little ambitious. I'm not necessarily going to try and be that methodical about it because, again, I don't even know what weather we're going to get. So I don't know how many of these pairs we're going to get through, and I didn't bring them all in to show off each one. I've done reviews of all of them. And I'm not doing... I was kind of doing the head-to-head of the Wolverine and the Golden Fox. So I already showed that in the previous video 1 or 2 ago. So I'm not going to go into that again because I haven't worn them significantly since then. But I have those Bean Camp Mock ones. I have 2 different versions of those. The one pair I'm going to definitely try and slot in more, even though they don't fit as nice, just to use them and see how the outsoles do. I have the Keen work boots. The ones that I said were better for hiking were the ones that supposedly had the shank. Those are not the ones I'm going to be wearing. I'm going to be wearing the other ones that are called work boots or something, but they're definitely more of, can be just an everyday kind of shoe. So yes, I'll wear those for a while and see how it goes. I still have those LL Bean sneakers, the brown ones. I also have the green ones that I wore a little bit and boxed away again. If I do go hiking, if I get more good weather, I'll probably be wearing the Voodoo or mil-spec combat boots. More likely the tan ones that I did the resole on than the black ones, but maybe the black ones if they go with the outfit. I don't know. But probably the tan ones, just to use those up a bit. I might still end up wearing the White's Rose Anvil Drifter 2s, just because they're kind of a cowboy combat boot, so they fit both the pilot and the cowboy aesthetic, kind of, but they fit more of the cowboy, I think-ish. I don't know, because of the big chunky heel. Hard to say. If I just want to wear a boot, a heritage style boot, it'll probably be the Wolverine 1000 Mile or the Thursday Captain, but the waxed flesh tan ones, not the other ones. Somebody was asking me about the waxed flesh recently, and it was the hero boots, not the Captain boots. And I couldn't really give you an answer because they've pretty much been in the box the whole time because we haven't had any wet weather. But if I get kind of wet weather while it's still this warm, sunny, deserty weather, it'll probably be a more beige. Think of what shirts I'm wearing, not darker color boots. Probably, more matchy with this. So those will likely be the ones that get the nod, not the hero boots. But I do have those other Captain boots in the Rough and Resilient and the President boots, which are similar to the Wolverine 1000 Mile boots. So whether I grab the Thursday or the Wolverine, either or, they're both kind of the same boot. And then I also have the Big 5 combat boots, which are similar to the Voodoo black boots, which are the ones that I did wear hiking a couple times recently. I think more just out of laziness, like I wasn't going to search all day for the other pair when I knew those pair were right there. But then I also have the ones with the taller shaft a little bit, and I'm definitely saving those, intentionally skipping those. I'll probably pull out I might have given the black ones to the thrift store. I don't remember. That might be why I couldn't find them. So I might be quoting myself wrong when I say I still have the black ones. It might be the Big 5 ones because the black ones are no longer here. I'll find out in a couple weeks when I, rotate the boots a little bit more. Again, Golden Fox and Wolverine, both possible wears, but not necessary wears. Depends on if I'm doing more of a kind of a work situation than a walking around situation. Because again, I wouldn't take any of those wedge soles on a mountain road or anything. Same with the cowboy boots. I wouldn't take pretty much any of those on a mountain road, but I would still wear the Ariat Rambler ones that I've had from before, more likely than I'll wear the other new Ariat ones, because I don't need a cowboy heel to walk around in. It's not as comfortable if I'm, just wearing them for the day and I end up walking in them. That's one thing, but to put them on as a walking shoe, not as likely. And then similar to similar to the Wolverine and the Thursday, we have Grant Stone, Truman, other Thursday, like I said. And then in the other work category, we still have Silverado, which I haven't really had a chance to wear. I do want to start integrating those, but I'm not going to use those to replace the combat boots for hiking because, again, I don't want to just wreck a good pair of boots for no reason, just for the sake of doing it when I already have other cheap boots that are, need to get used up and donated or whatever. And same with Thorogood, but Thorogood again being a wedge sole, so they're on the back burner. But I do have the steel toe in those, so if I have to do work, I'd probably grab either those or the Georgia ones and wear the steel toe ones. instead of the regular ones. And then other cowboy boots is the Thursday Maverick. Yes, I do have 2 pairs of those. I will probably take the Ariat Rambler, 1 pair of the Thursday Maverick, and maybe the other Ariat all to Dallas just to have them. But if I was driving in any of them, it would be the Ramblers. And if I was driving otherwise, it might be the LL Bean sneakers or the moccasins or something. Or the Wolverines. Those would be an okay driving shoe, or the president or the captain or whatever you want to call it. I do have a couple pairs of the Grant Stones that I do want to get to. The Pacific Northwest stuff a little more on the back burner, but I do have, of course, the Nicks Packer boots and the other Nicks Builder Pros. And then I have the whites lace to toe, which are kind of army-ish. I did wear those a little bit for some work, and I wore them hiking once. I still have the JKOT boots, which are a little bit more mountain man, but kind of heavy for hiking purpose. That was kind of what I bought them for. But then when it actually came down to actually hiking, it was kind of like, well, snakes versus, summer comfort. So again, the Big 5 combat boots won out that particular time. And I think I was wearing a kilt, so I wasn't really necessarily going for any specific look other than just comfort and utility. And I did almost step on a rattlesnake that time, but it was tiny. It was little. I wasn't too worried about it biting through my shoe at that point. If I had seen a bigger one, I might have been, oh, I should have wore the other boots. But so then, of course, the Thursday Challenger, which is not a true Pacific Northwest boot, but a high-heeled arch support e-logger thing that, again, I bought more for urban use than for outdoor use, but I haven't used up all these other boots yet that I'm switching only to arch support boots yet. If you watched my travel videos, I had a lot of problem with shoes that usually I would kind of trust that Dr. Scholl's brand, and they really let me down. So I guess I wish I had taken any of these boots instead that ordinarily I would say aren't walking shoes, but might have gave me less blisters than those did. So who knows? But so I don't know if that's 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I mean, technically it's almost 20 if you add in all the duplicates or all the similars, but not the same. So will I wear, all 20 of these between now and, well, not this month, but between now and Christmas, say, because again, the boot thing being less of a summer reset and more of an autumn, looking ahead kind of thing. So in all of autumn, will I wear all of these boots? Probably not, but I'll definitely show you if anything, significant happens with them in that time frame in terms of wear and tear or serious malfunctions or whatever. And like I said, in the winter when it gets more wet and that kind of thing, then, we're looking at more of the PNW boots and less of the nylon combat boots, because nylon and water, right? It's water repellent, but it's also fabric. So I don't know. And I don't expect to be wearing my regular jungle boots. I have those desert ones that are extra lightweight, but I don't typically wear them unless it is extremely hot. And lately I have not been hiking at all when it is extremely hot. So there you go. So I guess that's that for now, unless there's, again, obviously if there's questions about the boots, and I have reviews of pretty much all of them, but if there's other questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Okay, so without messing up the focus, hopefully. Okay, part 3, Western hats. Now I had done 2 videos where I had talked about Western hats a bit more extensively, and then the Indiana Jones videos and that kind of thing. I just wanted to recount. I was watching another guy's hat video, just like I was watching a Rose Anvil video. Oh, and speaking of Rose Anvil, back to part 2. Rose Anvil was reviewing a bunch of brands of pull-on roper-ish style boots. Again, the Ramblers I have are similar to that, but the other Ariats I got are the taller heel, so they're not quite the same thing, even though they're a shorter shaft than the usual 12 or 13. They're more like an 11. Not quite a hybrid, but almost a hybrid. But it had occurred to me while I was watching that video that I've tried boots from all of those brands, but out of those particular style of boots, none, or not really. But again, in his summations, it was kind of hard to pick a winner. He kind of picked his winners, and I kind of picked mine. And he didn't do Carolina boots this time, but he did rank Georgia pretty high. He did rank Thorogood pretty high. He did rank Ariat high in some categories and low in some others. So yeah, all that was kind of pretty predictable, I guess, would be the easiest word. Those are all mass market boots, not MTO. So moving on to real part 3, finally. So hats. I was watching a different guy's videos about boots and hats, and he was trying some Amazon brands and things, and I know those are just a joke. They're a cash in. It's the Yellowstone craze, which maybe hasn't completely ended yet. Most of them are barely a step above or technically costume pieces more than real cowboy hats. But of course, my collection collected mostly several years ago. Maybe a tiny step up from that too, but I tend to get stylistically more pinch front things, so they look less like stereotypical American cowboy hats and cattleman creases and that kind of thing, and a little bit more like Aussie hats. So of course I got the Akubra ones, and I had tried the Riverina and decided I didn't really like the crown shape and the fit and all that, and settled on the other pinch front in the different size. And I had promised I was going to try and wear that a bit in the summer, but it's just been way too hot to even look at a felt hat as far as I'm concerned. I've only been wearing the mesh breezer ones. I don't have one of those in here right now, but I showed them in the previous videos anyway. So yeah, I've been wearing the mesh ones, which are kind of cowboy-ish, but not really, but more mountain-y. I do have a couple straw cowboy ones that I'll probably bring out, and I'll take at least one of those if I go to the road trip, West Texas or wherever, and maybe get a little more use out of them. But I prefer a chin strap. That was one of the problems with regular cowboy hats, is they tend to not have that. And I don't know that Dallas is as windy as some other places, but we'll see. But so anyway, so my list compared to his list, just to recount so I have not quite a dozen, or at least 11 hat brands. Some I have multiple of the brand, but I don't necessarily wear that hat. Others I have Dorfman Pacific and things that I don't know if they make Western hats. Scala, yeah. These are both, I think, that. So not counting those, these are strictly Western style cowboy hats. Okay. So the Outback, again, and some of them definitely more Australian style, Outback Trading Company and Akubra, which I put in parentheses because Akubra, again, definitely not trying to look like an American cowboy hat with the model I got. Outback Trading, definitely more similar to an Indiana Jones look fedora hat than a cowboy hat. And the one was supposed to be waterproof and isn't, or the seam isn't anyway, right through here. Henschel, most of my Henschel ones are similar to the fedora I was wearing in the video on Friday, but that's not one of the Henschel ones. That's one of the Duluth ones, actually, which is not on this list. I don't think Duluth makes anything that's a true Western hat, but again, some of my mesh ones are Duluth with the extra wide brims. So in the cowboy, strictly cowboy section, we have Bailey, which is the one that I've worn. The brown one that's a little too small. I don't wear that out much, but it looked great in videos. Cody James, which is like the Boot Barn Flagstaff, or what's the word? Flagship brand now, I think. I think Cody James is their main brand. I have a Justin one, but it's a straw. I don't know if I have a regular Justin one. They did have a Justin one there that I liked, but I didn't end up getting it. But it was similar to the Cody James one that I already have, just in a different color, but they didn't have my size. They only had my size in the Cody James in the black, blah, blah, blah. And I already have a black one that's MHT, but it's not Cody James, but they look exactly the same. I couldn't tell you what's the difference. So, but some of the Cody James ones that I do have or have, is this Cody James? Yes, this is Cody James. They have the wire brim instead of the rigid brim. So I like the rigid brims a little bit more for a true cowboy look. But this, of course, being more of an Indiana Jones pinch front style looking fedora, just happens to have this kind of Marshall tombstone, whatever, hat band instead of a ribbon. And the brim's maybe a little bit wider than Indy, so that's why they were calling it a cowboy hat. Even though most people would look at this and think it's an Indiana Jones hat, not a cowboy hat, except for, again, the Marshall Dodge City looking kind of thing there. And the feather didn't come with it. I put that in there. So that is a Cody James. Now, Cody James, this one, I believe was made in USA, back when they were still making them in USA. I know I looked at this all before in the other video, but we'll do it now anyway, just to refresh my memory. Yes, these were made in USA, and they were, again, kind of, a notch above costumey pieces. From what I've seen, I don't think the quality has changed significantly since they moved the operation to China, and the prices have still gone up a little bit since I bought this. They're running around $80 now instead of 60, I think. So not terrible, but that, like I said, the MHT was very similar, but it was a stiff brim, not the flimsy. And then the what are these? This is another MHT, which is very, yeah, I've worn this in videos. So, like I said, kind of similar. This one fits me really well. This was to replace the Wrangler one that I got that is kind of loosey-goosey, but has a more similar to this brim than a stiff brim, and has a little less bling, I think, or kind of similar bling. But again, another pinch front. So again, another one that's not a cowboy, whereas this is the Bailey with the rough and tumble and a lot more sharp angle or whatever you want to call that on the crown or the brim from the crown. But again, another pinch front, another kind of in between Indy and Aussie and whatever. Made in USA. These all have the exact same tag in them, though, so I wonder if they were all made by the same exact factory. Wouldn't surprise me, or if they just sourced all their stuff from the same whoever. 100% wool, made in USA. Yeah, so these I bought long enough ago that they're all made in USA. But I don't wear them as much as the other less expensive ones that I don't like as much because I just want to get as much use out of those ones as I can before I switch to these for some reason. Even though, again, I don't necessarily like the look or the fit of them. Well, again, this brown one being a less good fit than the other, the black one that's on top of it. And this one being a very good fit compared to the Wrangler one. Yada, yada, yada. The Justin being a little bit, is it Justin? Or it might be Cody James. I forget. Anyway, the other brown one that I got with the cattleman crown, it's a little bit small, but it's more wearable than that one. And the Renegade, I don't remember who's Renegade, but one of them is Renegade. One of them is Resistol, at least one of them, one of the straw ones, and I think one of the other ones. And finally, the brown one with the real cowboy brim, but also with a pinch front, is Western Express, which is also a little bit small, which is why I got that, I don't know, Renegade or Justin one, whichever one it is. Or maybe it's Cody James, the other brown one. I don't remember. Yeah, because I don't obsess about which brand of hat is which when I just grab the one that I want to wear because I like the way it fits better than the other one. Or in that case, I like the way it looks better than that other one. Those two cases. Whereas this one, of course, I do have the more true licensed indie one, but it's still not any better quality. It's not a true indie hat. It's a, who made that? I don't know. I got it from one of those catalogs that specializes in not quite real, but good enough for Halloween kind of stuff. But it's a better than a Halloween kid's hat. You know, it's a real felt hat. But it's not a real indie hat, but it has the ribbon and it has the taller crown and the different, slightly different pinch shape. It's, you know, it looks more like the movie hat. The brim is closer to the correct width. The crown is closer to the correct height. The shape is closer to the correct shape. And so that one stays in the box pretty much year round because I already have this one. So same thing. Same thing. This one gets worn actually quite a bit. And it's still, apart from all the dust on it from sitting here for the last month out of the bag, and getting not worn, it actually does get used and is in good condition. And so that leaves the one brand that I mentioned in one of the videos, the one brand that I still don't have, the Elusive brand. And of course, I haven't really worn the Akubra, but I finally got the Akubra, the first one 2 years ago, and then the new one now that will fit better. I still don't have Stetson. Okay, I have some not cowboy Western style Stetson hats that were not super expensive. But I don't have any Stetsons, and that, of course, being the main premier must-have cowboy brand or whatever. I didn't see any at the Boot Barn this time. I know the one, I'm not sure about the Montclair one, but I think the San Dimas one used to have some Stetson ones, or maybe I'm remembering it backwards. I haven't been to every single boot. When I went up Highway 99, like it was Boot Barn. I could have stopped at like half a dozen of them and compared, but I didn't. So wasn't quite on the itinerary to go cowboy hat shopping at the time. I was too busy driving. But I don't like buying hats mail order as much as I like trying them on. So that's been kind of a problem, because even if they do have a couple Stetson hats, they're usually bigger than my head size. Again, some of the ones that I have, surprisingly, are too small, which you would think would never be the case. But when I first try them on, if they're too wobbly, I put them back and I get the tighter one, and then I kind of regret it later. Like, live and learn. But again, only about 3 of them are, you know, pretty unwearable out and about. I can still kind of wear them. Just not as comfortable, just might not stick to, stay down on the head. They want to, rise up, that kind of thing. So it's kind of annoying when you're constantly having to push the hat down. But after a while, they tend to stay in place. Just, again, a little tight, but they don't constantly ride up the whole time once they start to accept their. I think that's a little easier with the felt ones than the straw ones. Don't quote me on that, because I have a straw one, again, that resistol one, that's a bit tight, but I can wear it. But I've never been totally happy with it. But I had another one that was the Bodine one, I think, or Jason Aldean or whatever. Bodine. And when I put it on in the store, it was like perfect. And then when I went to wear it again, it was horrible. And I sold that one, like I said, 2 years ago or whatever. Some guy in the park said he was going to a Yellowstone party and wanted a cowboy hat. And I almost sold him the Wrangler one that's a little bit loosey on me. But I was like, nah, if you like the fit of that one, he was actually like, I was relieved that he wanted the straw one more, because I was positive he was going to take the one that I could still wear and leave me with the one that was never going to fit again. Anywho, but like I said, not really going for a complete Western cowboy aesthetic right now, while it's still way too hot to wear denim jeans and long sleeve shirts and felt hats. So, okay, I talked for 10 minutes longer than I thought I would when I thought I was almost done, but again, I wanted to just do a recap of that because, like I said, I've done and I haven't done a deep dive, but I have reviewed all of these in one of those videos from 2 or 3 years ago or whatever that people have actually watched, but it's not, there's two. There's one about the fedoras and one I think about the hiking hats or something. The one about the winter hats and the one about the fedoras is the one that is more about this felt stuff. So you can look for those videos and, see if there's something I missed. Again, if you have new questions or something that I totally still haven't managed to talk about. But when I was in the store the other day, I didn't like the shape of the hats. And the guy was like, well, we can reshape them. And it's like, well, that's true with the stiff brim stuff more than this. I don't know that any can be reshaped to look like my thumbnail, which are the old 70s hats, which I've always crowed about, that I can't really find with the flat front and it arches more back. Because where are you going to find more material? Even if you push this up a little bit, then you don't have that much room for a crease. So you might be able to kind of make it look tall enough. I don't know. I just don't know if they could reshape this to really resemble those hats or not. I haven't seen any done in that style. The current styles are more of a wider, flatter version of the cattleman crown, and some guys really like that. To me, it's just a less flattering look. I just don't think I'll ever want that style of hat. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't buy any of those Stetsons that I had seen, was I think they were more, I don't know, I'm not that young, but to me they look like old man hats a little more than, but some of the younger guys, I guess they look at it as more of a rodeo style. So but why any one style is more rodeo specific than another is beyond me. I typically want just the widest brim possible. All this, if you're doing all this, then you're getting no protection on your ears. If you're doing too much of this, you're maybe getting a little protection still on your neck, but this is not, my idea of a cowboy perfect look, but so again, I go a little bit more for the indie brim and all that kind of thing. So that's just personal preference. The straw one that I have, I don't know if they can reshape those at all, but it's really, almost perfectly flat way. That's kind of why I like it, even though it doesn't quite fit as perfect as I would like, because that one gives me about the most sun coverage I have apart from those Duluth ones. So, but it still doesn't have a chin strap. So, or, drawstring, whatever you want to call it. So that's that. Okay. Happy Sunday.